Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do something a little different today. Instead of doing the usual trailer reaction, and I'm going to do a discussion basically regarding of an upcoming live action remake series that will be on Netflix. That is of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Since the cartoon Avatar: The Last Airbender has recently started its streaming on Netflix this year, following also then followed along The Legend of Korra. Both shows basically, I guess you could say, found a resurgence or a renaissance, so to say, now that people who used to watch Avatar and The Legend of Korra back in the day, such as me, are finally able to, I guess you could say, rediscover and reconnect with the show, and also introduce these two shows to a whole new generation. So people are now starting to, I guess you could say, rediscover this show, and it's pretty amazing. It is a really good show. If you guys haven't seen it, I recommend that you go check it out. It's one of the best cartoon shows ever, in my opinion. Yeah, it's one of the best. I'm glad it's getting more attention now in the year 2020 due to the fact that it is on Netflix, so it's more available now to a wider audience, so to say. And the fact that it's been 15 years since Avatar: The Last Airbender started back on Nickelodeon, it's amazing to see how it's gaining that popularity once again. So kudos to Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. So what I wanted to do today is basically give you guys my top 10 things that I want to see happen in this live action remake. I am aware that the creators of Avatar, Mike and Brian, were once part of the production team for this new show, but due to some conflict going on behind the scenes, they didn't see eye to eye with Netflix, so they left the production. Now, a lot of people are worried about what this means for the show, which I totally understand. I mean, we don't want the same thing that happened 10 years ago with the M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Last Airbender. Not a good movie at all. I didn't really see the whole movie all the way through. I just saw a few clips here and there on YouTube, and just by watching those clips, even the clips alone were terrible, not good at all. So I can understand why some people are really worried about, the same thing happening all over again on Netflix. You don't want history to repeat itself. So I can understand people being worried. I'm a little worried too. But so cross fingers, let's hope it's good. But I do still want to share my wish list as to what I'm hoping to see at least happen in this new remake. Now, before I go on, I do want to let you guys know this is an remake adaptation. Okay, so think of it kind of in the same way as, like, the Disney live action movies. They're making these live action movies, being inspired by the original cartoon classic films. So will there be changes? Of course, it's an adaptation. You don't want a shot by shot remake, as say The Lion King. The 2019 version of The Lion King got a lot of criticism due to the fact that it was a shot by shot remake and that there was nothing new or original. I am aware that was one of the critiques, and that the animals didn't look as lifelike, or not lifelike, but that they didn't show any expression. But one of the criticisms I am aware is that it was a shot by shot. Nothing new original. It's like, if it's a shot by shot remake, just go watch the original 1994 classic. So you don't want to do a shot by shot remake. You do want to bring something new to the table. But at the same time, you don't want to do something completely different and tear up the original and just change everything. And that's what a lot of people are criticizing in terms of the 2020 movie of Mulan. Completely changed um, everything. It's nothing like the 1998 classic animated film. I am aware that the new Mulan was trying to go more by the actual ballad of Mulan, and they were trying to attract Western, but mostly Eastern audiences for this movie. But however, it didn't work out. The movie didn't do so well for both, Eastern and Western audiences. And again, a lot of people did not like the fact that it just changed everything dramatically. So for the live action remake of Avatar, you don't want to do a shot by shot remake, but you don't want to change everything so drastically. You kind of want to do something in the middle. And the best examples that I can give you are the 2016 version of The Jungle Book and the 2015 version of Cinderella. I'm even gonna add, for example, say the 2019 version of Aladdin. I thought that one was pretty good. And what makes these movies so good is that, yeah, they do make a few changes here and there, but they don't change everything so drastically. And it works. I think it works. For example, The Jungle Book coming out in the 1960s, obviously the generation as of now in the 2000 at the time when it came out in 2016, obviously it's different. You're attracting it now to a whole new audience, and the changes that they made, yet keeping the songs, keeping the characters, it worked. So again, you want to kind of be in the middle, not do a shot by shot remake, but also not change everything so drastically. You want to find that balance. So I hope Avatar is able to do something similar. And even I'm going to be using some Disney live action references, and I'm also going to be using some Marvel Cinematic Universe references in terms that say, even like look at the Marvel movies. The Marvel movies are inspired by the comics. They don't do, a page by page, you know, translation into their movies. They just take inspiration from those pages in the comics. So that's something we could probably expect with this show. Will there be changes? Of course, but let's hope they keep at least the important themes and the character personalities and their arcs the same. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go into my top 10 wish list of what I hope to see in the live action remake adaptation, despite the fact that the creators left. But here's what I hope to see. So number 10, if they do decide to, let's say Netflix decides to do a spin-off of their live action Avatar, and they want to do another show regarding the whole Avatar universe. Instead of doing a sequel, which is The Legend of Korra, I think they should do a prequel. Um, Now, hear me out. I know a lot of people, myself included, most fans tend to prefer Avatar The Last Airbender than The Legend of Korra. I think The Legend of Korra is good, however, it's not as top tier as Avatar The Last Airbender. So, again, if they want to do something a little different, Netflix, instead of doing a sequel, which is Korra, why not do a prequel? And which prequel should they do? Which character? They should do that on Avatar Kyoshi. I would love to see a live action show on Avatar Kyoshi. I think she's a really cool character. You get a few scenes of Avatar Kyoshi in the cartoon of Avatar The Last Airbender. You don't really know too much about her, like her whole backstory. I am aware that they're making comics about her, and you're discovering her whole life story and who were her friends and her family, and the villains that she fought and whatnot. But again, that's in the comics. It would be nice to see that being now brought to the screen. So if Netflix decides to do a whole Avatar live action universe in their little streaming realm, instead of if the Avatar series becomes successful and they want to proceed with that, instead of doing a sequel, which is with Korra, they should do a prequel, and I recommend they do that with Avatar Kyoshi. I would really like to see her get her moment on the screen, and it'd be really cool to see it in live action. So that's my number 10 wish list. Let's hope Avatar works though. Let's hope it finds its success so that Netflix can do these spin-offs. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, going on to number 9. Number 9, I would like to see at the very end of the, show's grand finale, when all the characters are happy that the war is over and they can finally now have peace and happiness. I want to see Toph reconnect with her parents. One of the things that, even when I was younger, one of the things that kind of, I guess you could say, bothered me a little bit was that you only see Toph's parents in one episode, which is Book 2, Earth, in episode 6, if I'm not mistaken, where you get a little, you get the idea about Toph's parents that they think she's this helpless little blind girl who can't do anything to defend herself. But um, Toph, she's not about that life. She wants to go out and find adventure. She wants to, even help Avatar Aang learn earthbending. She wants to live free outside of, her palace walls and whatnot. And at the end of that episode, she tells the gang that supposedly her parents let her go, but I don't think that's what happened, because then her parents send two earthbenders to go find her and capture her, well, bring her back and capture the Avatar. However, at some point towards the end of book 2, the earthbenders get Toph, but she's able to trick them, and she traps both of the earthbenders in this metal cage, because by doing so she discovers metal bending. So, but again, you never see those earthbenders ever again. Toph's parents are never brought up again. So you don't really know what happens after that. When the war is over, does she reconnect with her parents? I'm pretty sure it is explored in the comics, but for people who are part of the mainstream audience, like they just watch the show, but they don't dive deep into the Avatar fandom. Like they're not aware of the comics or whatever. They're just the mainstream audience, they probably won't know that. So I would like to see whatever was in the comics be brought to the screen. And one of them being Toph reconnecting with her parents. I want to see how they react to the fact that their little helpless girl is one of the ones who discovered metal bending, is one of the ones who helped the Avatar, fight against evil, bring balance to the world. I want to see her reconnect with her parents. And I think that would be something very beautiful to see. So that is my number 9, Toph reconnecting with her parents. Now, number 8. Number 8 being Azula's psychological breakdown. Now, regarding Azula, she's one of the most interesting characters in the show. She is manipulative. She's a perfectionist. But towards the end, you see her kind of falling apart, and she's such an interesting character. Due to that. I mean, like on the outside, again, you see this princess who can fight and kick butt, but she's so manipulative. She's like has everyone under her. She's very demanding. She is authoritative, but she tries to keep control everything on the outside, but on the inside, she doesn't realize that she's breaking down basically due to all that stress. And in regards to her breakdown, you don't really see it until like the last 2 episodes of book 3, Fire. And I would have wished, if they want to expand more on these characters, they should show her psychological breakdown a little earlier on. And I think that would make us really look into Azula's, her perspective basically through her point of view. I would really like to see more of that. That, and the actress, whoever they pick to play Azula, we have to really, bring those acting chops to the table. Like, just bring that presence of this manipulative, aggressive, commanding princess, but at the same time show that darkness inside of her, that she's breaking down internally. So I want to see more of that. If they plan on expanding these characters, that is one of the expanding, um, you know, character plots I hope to see in Azula, expanding more on her mental state, so to say. But earlier on in the show, I would like to see that. Now, going on to number 7, I believe that they should split season 3 or book 3 Fire into 2 parts. I am aware that book 3, the first half of book 3, mostly focuses on Team Avatar getting ready for the invasion of Black Sun. Um, and the second half of book 3 mostly focuses on, after they lose that battle, the Day of Black Sun, it mostly focuses on, you know uh, Zuko joining Team Avatar to help Aang defeat the Fire Lord before the comet, Sozin's comet, comes. So I feel like, since there are these two kind of different big battles going on, obviously there's these different stories going on within those battles, it should be broken into 2. That way you could expand more on the characters. In regards to the first half of book 3, like I mentioned before, it's focusing on the Team Avatar getting ready for the Day of Black Sun. I would like to see them, interacting more with the characters that they bring back from the previous books 1 and 2. When they're getting ready for the Day of Black Sun, I am aware that they bring some characters from book 1, such as Haru, who's an earthbender. They also bring back Theo, right? He's one of the kids who was in the wheelchair, but he could use his glider to help him fly. I would like to see more of those characters who are coming back for that, but having them spend more time with them, and also seeing the Team Avatar gang prepping a bit more for that invasion. Um, I don't know. Again, going with the character expansions, I want to see more of that. I feel like if they focus more on that, you kind of get a better, bigger battle for the whole invasion of the Day of Black Sun. So that could be a season on its own, and then again, the second half of book three can be a season on its own, because then that will allow for more character expansions, such as Zuko joining Team Avatar. I am aware that in some of the episodes, there are those episodes that are called the Zuko field trip, where he goes on a field trip with Sokka, Aang, and Katara. That way he can gain their trust and become closer friends with them. But again, I want to see Zuko doing more things with Team Avatar. I want to see more of that. Again, this is going into the whole character expansions. I just want to see more interactions of, Zuko with Team Avatar. Even Suki, like Suki joins Team Avatar in the second half of book three, but there's very little of seeing her interactions with Team Avatar. I want more. I want more. So I want to see more of their interactions basically, and what they do in preparation of Sozin's comet. What are they gonna do, and how are they gonna plan everything? What is Team Avatar going to do? So I want to see more character interactions, so I want to see book three split into two. I have heard that some critics say that book three, although it is a really good season, I really enjoy the season because this is like the climax of everything, right? It does feel a bit rushed because there are these two big battles in one book. So I feel like if it's split into two, you could get more episodes for one half of book three, and then the other half of book three, the second part, could get more episodes on its own as well. So it could be like book three part one, or book three part two, or just make it book three fire, book four air, however they want to do it. But I just think it should be divided into two. That's just my opinion, but you could get more character expansions on that if they do so. Now, going on to number 6, that being Zuko searching for his mother. I feel like that should be shown on screen. I am aware that it is um, like the storyline is shown in the comics. But again, like I said this before, if you're not deep into the Avatar fandom, you're just a mainstream audience, member, you're not gonna know that. You know, if you're deep into the Avatar fandom and you read the comics, you see the spin-offs and all of that stuff, of course you're gonna know because you're deep into the fandom. But if you're not, you're gonna have all these questions. So I feel like that plot line of Zuko finding his mom, it was introduced to us mostly like in book two and in the Zuko alone episode when he's having flashbacks of his mother. And then even in book three, Ozai brings up Zuko's mother, that she's still alive. So they bring up these little hints that she's out there somewhere, but again, at the end of book three, you don't really know where she is. I mean, yes, it's explained in the comics, but again, if you're just a mainstream audience person who's not deep into the fandom, you're not gonna know. I feel like that plotline should be brought to on screen. I would like to see on screen Zuko getting closure of finding his mother. The same way Zuko helped Katara get closure on her mother when she found out who was the one responsible for her mother's death. It'd be cool to see for Katara and the rest of Team Avatar helping Zuko get closure as to where his mother is. So again, something I would like to see on screen. Especially in Zuko's case, his family is shattered. His father is not the greatest father out there. He burned his own son and banished him. His sister Azula, tried to imprison him and kill him in Agni Kai and whatnot. So, his family is in pieces. The only one who he has in terms of as a blood relative is his uncle Ira. And again, it would be nice to see Zuko get closure as to where his mother is. I think that'd be really cool to see on the screen. So yes, I hope that plot is brought to on screen of Zuko finding his mother. I hope he gets closure on that on the screen. Now, going on to number 5, I want to see more backstory on Uncle Iroh. Uncle Iroh is one of the coolest characters on the show. He has so many words of wisdom, and his teeth. He's so cool. I like Uncle Iroh. Now, in regards to Uncle Iroh, you do get a bit of an idea of his backstory. Like there is some moments when he's talking to other members of the Fire Nation. For example, in book 1, I believe he was talking to Commander Zhao, where he tells him, he was a retired general, and he also tells Zuko that he sees him as his own son due to the fact that he lost his son in battle. So you do kind of get ideas to Uncle Iroh's past, that he, had, a son who died in battle, and he was this great general. They call him the Dragon of the West. So you do know a little bit of pieces here and there, but it'd be nice to see that visually on the screen. Get a little bit of flashbacks. I want to see that. It would be cool to see the moment where Iroh finds out about what happens to his son, and how he lost him, and as a result he was unable to conquer Ba Sing Se. I want to see that. I want to visually see that. It'd be cool, to see that. And plus, one thing that even came to my mind is that in regards to Uncle Iroh, he talks about his brother, Ozai, and of course Ozai talks about his brother, Iroh, but you never see them interact in the cartoon. If I can recall, I'm pretty sure they interacted in the comics, I'm not sure, but in the cartoon they never interacted. I want to see an interaction between Iroh and Ozai. I want to see that sibling dynamic between them. Kind of like, the sibling dynamic between Zuko and Azula. I want to see that now with Iroh and Ozai. So again, more backstory on Iroh, how, what was his role in the whole Fire Nation when he was younger, and how he got to where he is today, how did he join the White Lotus, all that stuff. I want to see his relationship with his son, um, how heartbroken he was when he found out his son died. I want to see the whole shebang. I want to get more backstory on Uncle Iroh, the Dragon of the West, who's the best at making tea. I want to see that on screen. Now, going on to number 4. Now, this is my little Zutara self. Yes, I am a Zutara shipper. I said it. I am a Zutara shipper. But I am aware that Katang is canon. I know. I know. So, if Netflix decides to make Katang canon because that's what happened in the cartoon, okay, fine. But at least give me this Zutara moment. Just this one moment that I asked for. Nothing else. Just give me this. And that is, I want a Painted Lady and Blue Spirit team up. Yeah, I said it. Imagine that. A Painted Lady and Blue Spirit team up. Just imagine that for a moment. Zuko and Katara, you know, in their secret vigilante identities, helping others. Nobody knows who they are. That that would be pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. You can't tell me that that would not be awesome. Um, I want to see that team up. That's all I'm gonna say. Like I said, if they make Katang canon because it was canon in the cartoon, okay, whatever. Netflix gotta do what they gotta do, I guess. But at least just give me that moment. I want to see a Painted Lady and Blue Spirit team up, okay? And besides, like I said, I am a Zutara shipper. At least, please keep at least the actual, scenes between Zuko and Katara, like when they're in the caves of Ba Sing Se, or the Southern Raiders episode, or even at the final battle of Agni Kai, where you know Zuko takes a lightning bolt for Katara and Katara has to heal him. Please keep those scenes. But if you want to give me an extra scene of Zuko and Katara, please, I want to see a Painted Lady and Blue Spirit team up. That's all I'm asking for. That would be so cool. Please. I am aware that the Painted Lady doesn't come into the storyline until book 3, Fire, and Zuko leaves the blue spirit identity behind in book 2, so the timeline probably would not, work out considering Zuko stopped being the blue spirit in book 2 and Katara doesn't become the Painted Lady until book 3. But again, like I said, this is an adaptation, so they might make changes. And one of those changes, I would love to see a Painted Lady and Blue Spirit team up. I'm just saying, that would be really cool to see. You can't tell me that that won't be badass. That would be really awesome. So please, please, I want to see that on my screen. Please, 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 please. So yes, Painted Lady and Blue Spirit team up. All the way. Yes. Yes. Now, going on to number 3. I want to see Avatar 1's history explored in this series. I am aware that the Avatar 1 history is not explored until The Legend of Korra. It's not brought up at all in Avatar The Last Airbender. But again, like I said before, this is an adaptation, so there might be changes here and there. I wouldn't be surprised if they do decide to borrow some elements from The Legend of Korra and then bring it into Avatar The Last Airbender show. Again, if you're introducing this show to a whole new audience, a whole new generation, and you're introducing it to mainstream audiences who are not deep into the Avatar fandom, some people might be wondering, well, how did this whole Avatar started? Why is the role of the Avatar so important? I think it would be interesting if the the story of Avatar 1 is brought into this. That way people can get a better understanding as to why Aang being the Avatar is so important. So I would like to see that. I think that would be really cool to see. Um, so yeah, I think bringing in Avatar 1's history as the first Avatar from the Legend of Korra into Avatar: The Last Airbender would give people a whole new generation to mainstream audiences a better understanding of the Avatar's role. So I would like to see that. Now, just so you guys know, my points for 3 and 2 and 1 are all connected. So as I mentioned, for my third wish is for Avatar 1's history to be introduced. Going on to my number 2 wish is I want more of a complex character arc for Aang. I did see a video in regards to what some other fans wish to see in the live action remake for Avatar: The Last Airbender. And if you check out a YouTube channel called The Objective Geek, please check it out. He does a video as to what he hopes to see in the live action remake. He does bring up the fact that Aang's character arc is kind of flat. And I do have to agree with him on that. When you look at the other characters in the franchise, such as Zuko, who has the best redemption arc in all of media, whether movies or TV show, Zuko has the best redemption arc. His character arc is not flat at all. It's a complex character arc, but it's so well written. He starts out as a selfish, bratty, bad guy, pompous prince, but then you see him go through this redemption and he ends up being a noble king. He becomes the Fire Lord with a kind, compassionate heart now. He changed. He becomes a good person. And so his character arc is amazing. And even terms for other characters, the Objective Geek in his channel mentioned the likes of Katara and also Korra herself. With Katara, she and her brother, even Sokka as well, they see as all firebenders as evil. Like, oh, all the firebenders are just evil. They're the ones who started the war. But slowly you see them learning, like, okay, not all firebenders are evil. There is some good firebenders, and especially in that of Katara, because she had a hard time trusting Zuko. And she soon starts to realize, like, okay, there is probably good in him. And then, even though he betrayed her, but then, he regains her trust later on. So, she learns to forgive him. Even with Korra, the Objective Geek brought up in his channel that with Korra, she was very confident, that she thought she was undefeatable because she's the Avatar. But she learns later on, especially in book 3 and book 4, maybe not to be so overconfident, basically, to learn in a sense like humility, like maybe I won't be able to do this, win all the time. Sometimes I may have limits, but I have to at least keep trying. So you see those character arcs basically. And in regards to Aang, I want a more complex character arc, and I feel like the main point that the main plot point, I guess you could say, that could help Aang get that complex character arc is in book two, towards the end of book two, when he goes to visit the Guru. Now, the Guru in the end, near towards the end of book two, gives him advice as to unlock his last chakra, so he could go into the full Avatar state. And in regards to do so, he has to let go of Katara. He has to let go of that attachment of her. Um, and it's funny because that plot point of the Guru and his advice of letting go is only like mentioned in like the last two episodes of Book 2 Earth. That's it. It's never brought up again in book 3. The whole idea of letting Katara go and detaching yourself is never mentioned ever again in book 3. And then towards the end of book 3, when Aang is fighting Ozai, he just so happens, to hit a rock on his back, and that's how he's able to open his last chakra, just by luck, basically, just by happenstance. I feel like it would have been more interesting to see Aang struggle with that, more in book 3. Him hearing the Guru's, voice in the back of his head, like, if I gotta defeat the Fire Lord, I gotta go into the Avatar state, but I can't let go of, Katara. I don't know how I'm gonna unlock my last chakra. That could be that moment of his character development. And I think that would make his character arc more interesting. So I personally would have liked to see more of that. Um, you know, Basically Aang struggling to do that. And as a hero, he's gonna have to make that sacrifice. And that's the interesting thing in regards to heroes. I mean, like I said before earlier in my video, I was gonna bring up some Marvel and Disney references. The best example that I could think of right now at the top of my head is Iron Man in the Avengers movies. He tells Captain America in Avengers Endgame that he wants to bring back the people that he lost due to the snap, but he also wants to keep the people that he has now in the current timeline. And he does get that wish, he does, but at what cost, right? It's like what little Gamora told her father Thanos. Did you do it? But what did it cost? Everything. And I think that's why people are very, drawn to Iron Man, because he emerged as a victorious hero, but of course it required a sacrifice, but he was willing to do it. So, he's considered heroic for doing that. And I think that would bring so much more to Aang's character. Yeah, he might have to listen to the Guru's advice. He might, have to let go of Katara. And I think that would be so interesting to see his character, mature to that, to grow to that. He does emerge as a victorious hero, but maybe a sacrifice was involved. And besides, Aang is kind of viewed as like a messiah type figure. And knowing the messiah type figure trope, I guess you could say, they do emerge as a hero, but there is a sacrifice that has to be made, a sacrifice for the greater good of humanity. And I think that'd be interesting to see that for Aang. Now, like I said before, points 3, 2, and 1 kind of all come together. So I mentioned for my point number 3 was Avatar 1's history. For point number 2, you get a complex character arc for Aang. Now, point number 1. I want to see, for the final battle of Aang versus Fire Lord Ozai, I want to see also being brought to that battle the spirits of Rava versus Batu. Yes, hear me out. Hear me out. So, like I said before, this is an adaptation and they're probably going to make changes. So they might borrow some plot points from the comics and from The Legend of Korra. In The Legend of Korra, like I said before, you learn about the whole history of the first Avatar, Avatar 1. and you see how the reason why the avatars in the Avatar world are considered good is because they have the spirit Rava in them. She's like the light spirit, right? But in the Avatar world, since everything is about balance, if there's a light spirit, there's also a dark spirit. Kind of like the Force in Star Wars, right? There's the light side of the Force, and then there's the dark side of the Force. So if Rava is the light, you have Batu, who's the dark. And in the Legend of Korra, Korra's uncle Unalaq is trying to find Batu so he can become the Avatar. But because Batu is, the dark, the evil, the bad, Unalaq becomes a dark Avatar. He's, the opposite of the original Avatar. Now, of course, Unalaq with Batu, of course, he becomes powerful, but and the only form of bending powers that he has is water because he's a waterbender, obviously, right? However, I would like to see that with Fire Lord Ozai. Just imagine that for a moment. Fire Lord Ozai as a dark avatar with Batu, and the whole thing about the Fire Lord, Ozai and his father and his grandfather, they all wanted to conquer the world in fire, right? Show the world that the firebenders were the supreme ones. They want to burn the world in fire. Imagine that, Ozai using Sozin's comet to get energy to do his firebending, but also using Batu to use, to make him more powerful to firebend, to burn the world in fire, basically. I want you to imagine that for a moment. How cool that would be. That would be on a scale of epic proportions. And because of that, with Sozin's Comet, with Batu, and Fire Lord Ozai all combined, those three combined, that's going to put Aang in a tough spot. As I mentioned in my number 2 wish list of Aang's character arc, he probably is going to have to think, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. How am I going to stop this evil force, basically? How is Aang with his good avatar spirit Rava gonna stop this unbeatable evil force? So that is gonna put our hero Aang, of course, in a tough situation that may require a sacrifice on his part. And for me, I would be on the edge of my seat if I were to watch that. I think that would be so cool. I want to see that. I really want to see that. Like I even just me thinking about it, I'm like fangirling right now. I know you guys are probably gonna say, "Oh, like that's just fan fiction," You're just being a fangirl. I know, but that's why this is my wish list, all right? But just imagine how cool that would be to see that. Even just thinking about it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that would be so awesome. I think that plot point from the Legend of Korra, of the first Avatar, one, and the spirits Rava and Batu should be brought into Avatar The Last Airbender. It should be in this show to get more of an understanding about the roles of the Avatar, and that, yeah, there could be a good Avatar, there could also be an evil Avatar. And I have seen some people I think out of all the Avatar villains, including the Legend of Korra, I think Fire Lord Ozai is a pretty menacable villain. I haven't I don't see anything wrong with him, but I have heard some people say that he may come off as a little, boring, I guess you could say. I don't think so, but I have heard some people say that. But I think it would be so much more cooler if you see Fire Lord Ozai again, not only use Sozin's Comet but also Vatu to stop Avatar Aang and Rava. I just think that that would be a battle to like, oh my gosh, on a scale of epic proportions. Oh my gosh, that is something I would like to see. I would be on the edge of my seat of that. And again, that would put Aang, he has to now really think, what am I going to do? How am I going to save the world? Again, I would be on the edge of my seat. I want to see that battle. I think that plot point should be brought into this series. Now, that's just me. That's just my wish list, guys. Please let me know down in the comments below, what is your wish list? What do you guys hope to see in the live action remake adaptation for Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix? Again, even though the creators, Michael and Brian, left, I know, but who knows? Let's hope, fingers crossed, this remake happens to be good. Come on, it can't be worse than the M. Night Shyamalan Last Airbender movie. It just can't. That movie was just, that movie's like such a low. Please, please, Netflix, learn from those mistakes. Don't do anything worse than that. So yeah, that was my wish list, guys. Again, let me know in the comments down below what you guys hope to see. Let's hope Netflix does it right. So guys, please share your thoughts below, like and subscribe, and as always, take care, guys. Bye.